Hello, everyone. In week 2, we're going to focus on something called the writing process. And the reason we're going to focus on this week is because next week in week 3, you're going to have your first essay due. So week 2 is really laying the foundation and giving you the skills that you will need for next week. Now, the writing process is just the different stages you go through when writing an essay. So I put a few of them here. You have planning, drafting, revising, and editing. And as you're reading through your textbook this week, I recommend taking notes on each of these sections to help you. Now, your third essay is something called a narrative essay. So if you want to go over to week 3 real quick and look at the prompt for the project that we're doing in that week, that would be a good idea before you even start reading the chapters. And the chapters are going to give you information like how to decode what is actually being asked of you in the prompt for this first essay, how to maybe plan for it, to draft it, revise it, and edit. And you're going to see these chapters cover a bunch of different writing forms like cause and effect, process, and all that. And we'll get to those other essay types in future weeks. But for week 3 and your first essay, you're covering narration or narrative. So I would focus on those parts in the chapter. Now, the second thing that it might help you to take notes on for this week as you're reading through is what I'm kind of calling the toolbox. So in week 1, you covered commas and capital letters. This week, for adding tools to your toolbox, you can add things like how to do introduction paragraphs and conclusion paragraphs. And in the textbook, you will see examples of how to do that for a narrative essay, but you'll also be given other tips and strategies and ideas for how to write these types of paragraphs. And you'll even be told how to do what we call body paragraphs, which are the paragraphs that come in your paper in between the introduction paragraph and the conclusion paragraph. And normally there are 3 body paragraphs. So go ahead and when you're reading through, take notes on how to do these types of paragraphs. That way when you get to week 3, you have some things to look back at and you don't have to go look through the entire chapters again. And this will also help you process all of the information that you're going to be learning this week because there will be kind of a lot that's thrown at you again. So I highly recommend that you keep a notebook by you and take notes as you're reading. It'll make your life a lot easier next week. So for this week, you do not have any major projects. You have 2 quizzes over the writing process and over introduction and conclusion paragraphs. And then you also have our discussion forum. We have one this week, which will address the writing process primarily and a bit of critical thinking. So feel free to look back last week at some of the notes on critical thinking. One thing I will say about this week's discussion forum, there are 4 questions. The prompt asks you to keep each answer between 50 and 100 words. So please try to do that for each of the 4 questions. All right, I look forward to seeing you guys in the forum again. And if at any point you have questions about the writing process or how to write these types of paragraphs or assignment 3, please let me know. Or what I mean to say is the narrative essay in week 3. So if at any point questions on those, feel free to get in touch with me.